podcast, Those Twins Who Knit. My name is Rachel.
And I'm Jessica.
And this is our space where we like to share all of the stuff we've been up to knitting-wise, things we've been working on, things we finished recently. We both have some acquisitions this time around. And we also have a little bit of sewing that we'll save for the end because we've been doing a lot of sewing this summer.
Yes. It's been like a month since we last filmed, which is a little longer than we usually aim for. But it's just been a really busy summer, and since we have last filmed, like a lot has happened. So we did have a birthday since our last podcast, so that was exciting. We got to celebrate together.
And last podcast, we asked people for like a little birthday thing to guess who was older between the two of us. They were hilarious. We had a great time reading through the comments, and our parents read through them too, and some of our close friends who know us really well and also know which one of us is older, so they were really intrigued by all of the comments.
And
some of the reasonings were like spot on, and then some of them I think were just funny.
Yeah, some of them, it was so funny because it was almost like the same people would take the same logic but apply it different ways. Like I think one person was like, oh, you're a teacher, which is like an authority figure, so you're older, but then another person would be like, oh, she works with kids, so she's probably younger. And it was just funny how people interpreted that. So thank you so much for participating.
I know we wanted to comment back so bad, and then we're like, how do we comment and not like give the answer in the comments? But
just know we read them.
Yeah, they were really, really good
and really appreciated it.
So we'll give you the answer, which most people I think got it right.
I think most people did. Yeah, I'm older
by 11 minutes,
which still counts,
kind of. But a lot of people do say that, like, and this is not science, like, don't take our word for this.
No.
But there is, like, this thing in the twin community of, like, the firstborn tends to be more, like, analytical, more, like, the type A stereotype.
Mm-hmm.
And then the younger one tends to be more of the, like, type
Free
B.
spirit.
Yeah, creative. And I think both of us are creative in our own way. But, I think our personalities just fit that really well.
Yeah.
So we just had a really good time with that, and thank you for participating with us if you joined in on that, because we had a lot of fun.
Yeah. Other than that too, we did also take a trip together. So we had a family wedding out in Oregon, and of course we had to like go early and just make a vacation of it. Yeah. So we went and spent a few days at Arch Cape and Cannon Beach out there on the coast, and then
it was beautiful.
It was so beautiful. We loved it so much. And honestly, it was like perfect for a knitter because even though we were in July, the coast was really cold. Like we could wear sweaters every day, and I'd been missing some of my sweaters so much. So it was really,
I think it was that perfect
nice.
Temperature too of it's not so cold you need like a coat, but you do feel very cozy in a little sweater on the coast. Yeah, it was perfect.
Yeah. So we loved it, and then we spent several days in Hood River because that's where the wedding was. And then we spent a day in Portland, and we did actually go to several yarn shops. So that was fun to just pop into those. So I think we went to Close Knit, and then we went to Ritual Dyes.
And we went to...
There was one other...
It was Fiber Rhythm or Rhythm Fiber. It had like a musical connotation with it.
And it was just down the street from Ritual Dye. So honestly, we weren't planning on that. It wasn't like on our radar, but we saw that it was close by. So of course, if it's within walking distance, we're going to go check it out.
Yes. And all of them were beautiful, really fun. We didn't go crazy with acquisitions, but we'll share a tiny bit at the end.
Yeah.
But it's just really neat to see different shops.
Something that I am learning about myself too is that like I like to go into yarn shops with a plan. Like I felt pretty overwhelmed in the sense of like I have a hard time just going and looking at yarn and like remembering patterns. Like somehow I walk into a yarn store and it's like I don't remember a single pattern I've ever seen, and so like I didn't really get anything because I didn't want to purchase something for the sake of it and not have a use for it, because it kind of stresses me out sometimes when I have yarn in my stash that I don't have a purpose for. But it was still really fun to just like go and see what the different stores had and like see some yarn that I don't necessarily get to like touch and feel every day. So now I have some context for like future projects and things like that. So glad we got to stop in there. It was fun.
Yeah. Very nice.
Yeah.
Should we actually get talking about our knitting.
Yes. Do you want to talk about what you're wearing first?
Yes. This has been featured here before. This is the Audrey top by PetiteKnit that I was working on last time. I feel like I finished this like right after the last podcast, so I'm like, wow, this was forever ago. What do I have to say about this? But I knit it in Knitting for Olive pure silk held double in the color copper, which I was gifted from you.
Yeah, because, okay, so originally I bought all that yarn because I was going to make the Melita's dress by VertKnit, and I still would love to make that dress. Like, it's so beautiful. I just didn't have it in me this summer to commit to something like that. It is a
commitment because it's held single, so it's like a whole dress on fingering weight.
Yes.
I think I used size 4 needles.
Yeah, US 4.
I think.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've knit that piece, but
yeah,
it's a feat. Like, it is not a casual, I'm gonna knit this in like a week or 2.
No, like, you have to commit.
Back to the Audrey top. This one is very easy. It has no finishings. I've said that before because I'm just a little, at first I was skeptical of it, but actually it's a very nice knitting experience.
Okay, but when you did it the first time with no finishings, it was black, so you couldn't really see.
Yeah,
but
this one I think you can tell.
You can tell, but it still looks good.
But
like, it still looks nice.
The pattern grew on me so much with that black version that I made that now it does not bother me. I thought I would like a finished version better, and now I'm really interested. I like it. Yep. I knit it completely like bottom to top. Some people I know do like a provisional cast on, knit the top, and then go back to kind of modify the length. But I just blindly trust PetiteKnit. I did not make any modifications. I even knit the strap length the way that she recommended, or to the length that she recommended. So I think it turned out. I think it worked out just fine. And final thoughts. I kind of have been finding that pure silk wrinkles a little bit. I don't think I notice it very much with my black pieces, but this one I think shows because I keep my hand knits folded in a drawer, and when I pull this one out, you can see like a very clear line
like where
it was folded. Yeah, and I had to really steam it out a whole bunch before putting it on. So that's just a thing that I've noticed. But I don't know, it doesn't bother me, and it's easy to steam out, so it has not been a problem. Just kind of a thought on this yarn. Anyway, let's go to yours.
Mine is the Mixed Strip Cami by Florence Miller, and I made the smallest size using Sunday by Sandnes Garn in the colorway Almond. So I'm really happy with how it turned out. I think it's really cute.
I am so in love.
There were a couple of things that kind of ran into a little bit of like issues with. One, I really went back and forth on like which size I should do. The pattern lists like what the garment is intended to fit. Like, it lists like this garment's intended for bust sizes, you know, XYZ, but it doesn't list, that I saw, like what the finished measurement was going to be. And so I didn't know. You know, it does say like the recommended negative ease, but I just didn't know like where I would land on that spectrum. So that's kind of the one thing that I wish she had added in the pattern. I think that would have been really helpful, but ultimately I did decide to make the smallest size. And then she also has the optional bust, or not bust shaping, waist shaping on the side. And I chose not to do that, so I just knit it straight down. And I'm pretty happy with that.
I think it looks beautiful.
Yeah, I do really like it. It is really cropped. Like, I'll pull it out real quick and you can see it's like only, here's my waistband of my high-waisted pants, and then here's like where it hits.
Was that the way that she wrote it?
Yeah, or? I just, because I was knitting it mostly on the plane, so I just like knit until she told me to stop or whatever, and then I cast off. And I probably bound off. Thank you.
I do that all the time.
I probably should have just like waited and tried it on when I got home. It still works really well, especially because like everything that I wear is high-waisted, so it's really not that big of a deal. I can still tuck it in and it'll stay like tucked in. But I do think I probably should have been a little less impatient and should have added like maybe an inch or two.
Yeah, I think I would add an inch if it were me.
Yeah. So overall, really happy with it. The other thing that I will point out too, and I think Florence had the same issue when she was knitting it, is that the gauge between when you're knitting flat and knitting in the round did change for me, which I don't usually have issues with every once in a great while. But with this one, it was pretty dramatic. You can really see the difference between where I was knitting flat and when I started knitting in the round. And she also experienced where some of the what is this called? Twisted ribbing. Right here, some of the twisted ribbing hugs closer to the panels of just little stockinette ribbing. You can see where it's like
blocked it out really well.
Yeah, it blocks out really well, but you can kind of see where like this one is closer to this panel than like this is up here to this.
I see it when you point it out.
Yeah, we'll put pictures on the screen to hopefully like demonstrate what I'm talking about. I don't think it's noticeable when you're wearing, and I don't think it's something that like anyone who's not a knitter would ever see. And blocking did help a ton. I did let it soak for a long time. So sometimes when I'm blocking things, I'll just like make sure everything is really well saturated and then immediately like, you know, squeeze the water out and put it on my blocking mats. With this one, I think I let it sit in the water for like an hour.
I've honestly let things, like I've forgotten that I was blocking things and let them soak for like all day before.
Really? I usually don't do that.
The first time I did it, I was nervous that like the dye was going to come out like it would be a different color, but it's never been an issue. I don't recommend it. I don't try to do that, but like, has it happened before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair.
So, yeah, I wouldn't stress.
Yeah. No, I don't think, I'm kind of over summer knitting at this point. Like I'm really ready for fall knitting, so I don't think I'll be making another one this summer, but I could see myself next summer making this in another color because I do think it's just a really classic, versatile piece. I'll be curious to see how much I reach for it in the fall, but I do have like a couple of like blazers and stuff that I wear to work every once in a while, and I think this would look really cute under those, especially like a brown blazer.
I think it looks very professional.
It looks very professional, yeah. So I think this is going to be one of those pieces that like I can wear in a lot of different settings and kind of style different depending on what I'm doing that day. I love that about it. So I could definitely see myself making another one. Maybe this winter I'll go through a phase where I like want to make another one, but at this point I kind of see it being like a next summer project.
I am done with summer knits.
I'm so ready for
fall.
In
fact, I have a work in progress when we get to there that is a summer work in progress that I am likely going to abandon for the season.
Yeah.
Which I don't like to do, but I'm just inspired by fall.
I mean, it's still like 100 degrees Fahrenheit outside, so it's not like the weather is telling us that it's fall. It's just like in our hearts, it's fall.
We know it's August, so
that counts.
Those are what we're wearing and part of our finished objects. Do you have other finished objects?
I have 2 other finished objects.
Okay, you should go first then, because I think you have more than me.
Okay. I'll talk about this one real quick, because it was pretty close to done in the last episode, and now it's officially done, which is my Monday sweater by PetiteKnit, using Knitting for Olive Merino held together with their soft silk mohair, both in the color Elderflower. So it's just like a beautiful little light yellow sweater. It's a little wrinkly. I did take this on our trip and I haven't reblocked it since it was all scrunched up in my suitcase. I wasn't the best packer on our way home. You know when you're like going out, like you fold everything nice and neat, and then on the way home you're like, just get it in the suitcase.
It just needs to be in there.
It just needs to get home. That's kind of how this sweater ended up. So you can see the bottom is pretty wrinkly, but nothing that like another block can't fix. And honestly, I tuck everything in anyways, so it's inevitably going to get that way.
And actually, we borrowed a lot of each other's clothes on that trip, and we were so like, it just needs to get home, that we were like throwing each other's stuff in our suitcases.
Yeah.
Like,
and then we had to like do a swap when we got back.
Except I think I got the worst end of the deal, because I had like 4 of your sweaters.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't remember it being this tight. But anyway,
here we are. So yeah, anyways, I don't have anything too crazy to share about it. This is a pattern that I've made before in gray and have worn just a ton. I reach for that sweater all the time, so I'm excited to have it in another color. Honestly, if I wear this one a ton too, I could see myself just continuously making this pattern in other colors because it's just a easy sweater to throw on and style. And I think this little lemon, it's like a limoncello color, is going to be really fun. So
it almost reads white in certain lights.
Yeah,
but it's not.
Also, I don't know what happened, but I think I like snagged it right here at some point because there's like a little snag. So I think I might try praying that blocking helps that too. Hopefully it's not like super noticeable, but you can kind of see what I'm talking about. I don't think that was there originally. I think that's just happened from me wearing it or from packing it or something. I'm not really sure. Cats probably. Honestly, that's probably what happened. So that's my first finished object other than what I'm wearing.
The rest of my finished objects, actually, I might only technically have one. I think I only technically have one, and it's a tiny one that you've seen before, so we will not harp on it. Last minute before the trip, my husband adores this Oslo hat that I knit for me, but he has embraced as his own. And I had enough of this yarn extra. Actually, I have so much of this yarn extra that I really quickly just whipped up another Oslo hat in Sandnes Garn Sunday in the color Into the Woods, which was a discontinued color that I panic bought a ton of because I was sad that they were discontinuing it. And it is his favorite color, but and I let him wear it on the trip because I'm very nice. But I think that this one is going to stay with me. The first one was honestly just so worn that it was gross. It was stretched out. It lived in our car for a long time. We still have it, but it was needed to have a new one. So that's my only other finished object is this Oslo hat. And
in this one too, like the last one, I think you shortened it by a couple centimeters. Did you do the same thing?
Yeah. So I have learned through making several Oslo hats now, I think, that on her guideline, I shorten it by 2 centimeters from what PetiteKnit recommends that you knit it at. And then I do all the decreases the same and everything, but just this part. I personally really like the Oslo hat pattern. I feel like people find a hat pattern that they like and they just knit it over and over again, and I'm kind of the same way. It just works, but just really simple, nothing too fancy.
Yeah.
So that's my other finished object for the time period.
Okay, well, I have one more, and that's this little bucket bag. It's the Julia bag by Mochi Knits, and I used the recommended yarn, which is the Japanese cotton. I'll put it on the screen. I don't remember the exact name, but it translates to Japanese cotton by Isager. And I think this is the same color that you used for your Florence bag.
It is exactly the same yarn.
Yeah.
Did you like knitting with it?
I did. Actually, I didn't think it was going to be as... I think I went into it thinking like, oh my gosh, this is going to be so rough and this is going to hurt my hands. And like, I kind of knew that it was going to be a slow project. And so I think my expectations were kind of on the floor a little bit as far as like enjoyability of knitting with it. And I actually really enjoyed it. It didn't hurt my hands as much as I thought it was going to. I didn't run into as many issues.
This uses a pretty big needle, right?
Yes.
That might make a difference.
I don't remember. I think I'll have to double check my notes. I think I used like a 7 or an 8, like a US 7 or 8.
Yeah. See, because I used this for Florence and like the Florence bag, and it wasn't terrible, but I did have to take breaks. But
yeah. So maybe having a larger gauge helps.
I used a US 6 for the Florence bag.
Okay, I used a US 5 for that one.
I don't remember. Something. It was definitely smaller than this gauge, and I feel like maybe the bigger gauge helps it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't terrible.
No. I'll show the bottom. It kind of looks like a little pinwheel, which is fun. And then the pattern does recommend wet blocking the bag, which I didn't do. I skipped that step because the Florence bag, even though I used a different yarn when I wet blocked it, I think I ran into issues with the way that it was laying, and I ended up having to just steam it a ton in order to kind of undo some of the blocking that I had done. So I skipped that step. And then it does also recommend starching the bottom both from the outside and from the inside, and then also starching the walls of the inside, which I was really scared to do because I've never starched my knitting before. But it actually helped a lot, I think. I didn't put a lot on the walls, so I don't really know that it like did a lot there, but you can tell by the way that the bottom kind of like sits flat that it actually did something.
Yeah.
Because before it would kind of hung like that.
Well, like the Breeze bag does that.
Yeah, the Breeze bag.
I wonder if you could starch that one.
I bet you could. I don't see what, I mean, it's a different yarn, so I don't know for sure, but like, yeah, you can kind of tell that it just like stays flat, which is so fun.
I love it.
Yeah. Also, this pattern has you crochet the top, so I'll see if I can share the top. So like this little section right here on top of the I-cord was crocheted, and I am not a crocheter. I literally own one crochet hook that happened to be the exact size that she recommended. Otherwise, I might have just skipped this step because I was like, I don't know. And to be honest, I went up a needle size from what the designer recommends. So I probably should have gone up a crochet hook too, but I don't really know enough about crochet hooks to understand how I should have done that. And I also just didn't want to buy another crochet hook because I was like, I never use the singular one that I have.
Do you use it when you like make knitting mistakes? Like if you drop a stitch, you don't use a crochet hook?
No.
Oh. It makes life easy.
Yeah, maybe I should try it. But point is, I was really scared for doing this like top edge, but the designer puts a ton of pictures in the pattern, so even if you've never crocheted anything in your life, it wasn't that hard. Like I was able to figure it out pretty easily, and I was amazed by how fast it went. Like people talk about how crochet is way faster than knitting, and I was like, I don't know, that seems... I was skeptical, but it was so fast. Like I finished this little border edge in maybe like 30 minutes.
I think crochet is
and
faster.
I don't know that I could have done an I-cord that fast. Like I didn't time myself when I was doing this I-cord, but I think it would have taken me way longer. So I don't know. I really like this bag though. I think it's really cute. I don't know that it's the most functional thing I've ever made, only because since it's a bucket bag and it doesn't close, I don't really know what to keep in it. And originally I was like, maybe I'll put like a little sock project to take to the beach. It'll be cute. But because it's a very open type gauge, like the sock needles will just stick out and stab through it. So that's not really a good use for it.
I think that what you should do is take this and make it much bigger, and then you could put like beach towels and stuff.
Yeah.
That would be really cute.
Be cute. I've also thought about like, it's almost cute as like, you know, imagine you had like a little plant in here and then hung it up. Like
that
it
would
could
be
almost
really cute.
be, I mean, obviously you couldn't put like dirt in here, but I feel like it could be like a little planter
but
holder.
You could put
but I feel like then
a
I would almost wanted to make it like a little shorter for like
that
a
would
pre-potted
be a really
plant.
cute
But
idea.
it would be cute, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah.
And then you could make these as more like straps, like a little hook or something.
Yes.
That would be cute.
And then like you could obviously adjust to make it longer or shorter depending on like where you want it to be.
I do like the bucket bag look of it.
It's really cute, and like I kind of want to figure out a use for it. If anyone has ideas, let me know. I still want to use it, and I think it's so cute. It's just not, it's not like a purse where you just like throw your stuff in and grab and go, because I don't want anything valuable to fall out of it.
Could you create a liner for it?
I bet you could. And honestly too, you probably could just like put a snap right here, and now all of a sudden it is more of like a traditional purse. Like
I think that
I could
could
probably
look
just
really
put like
good
a
too.
button right there.
Yeah.
You know?
It has potential.
It has potential. We're gonna use it because it's so cute. It's just,
I love it.
Taking a little more creativity than I thought it was going to. But that's okay, because I do think it's cute. I also, as I was knitting the straps, it has like a recommended length. And as I was knitting them, I would like constantly steam them, so that way it was like they were already stretched out, and I don't think they'll stretch out much over time. Maybe a little bit, but I tried to like really stretch them as I was going.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna stretch that much.
Yeah. So that was helpful.
One of my works in progress is a bag. The one that I might abandon. But we can talk about it. The bag that I've been working on is, I think pronounced the Yvonne Bag by Gregoria Fibers. And I've made it this far. It's got a really pretty lace texture. I think it'll be even prettier when it's blocked, but that's what it looks like at the moment. And I've been knitting this up in Sandnes Garn Tynn Line in a color that you purchased. Was there a name for this color?
Not that I remember.
It's like a very light beigey color. I think you originally bought this and then got nervous it was like close to our skin tone.
Yeah.
And so then you gifted me leftovers and I was like, I'll make a bag out of it. I hesitate to say this, but I think that there's a mistake in this pattern. I have not reached out to the designer or anything. I honestly think it's a very easy mistake that I can figure out, like I can rework on my own. I just, at the time that I discovered this, I did not have the brain capacity to deal with that. I was like, no, we're just gonna put this away for a minute. And then I didn't finish it before vacation. Now I'm like, there's no upcoming vacation. What will I do? And summer's almost over for me. I go back to work soon. And I just don't know that I'll have a lot of purpose for this at the moment. And so I'm just kind of losing inspiration on this. So she may go into hibernation until next summer. I'm not going to frog it. I do think that I will like this product. And maybe I will finish it. Maybe I will. But I'm not going back to it right away.
Is the mistake related to like separating for the handles? Because it kind of looks like that's where you're getting close.
Yes, that's it. Okay, so here's where I think, and tell me if you've knit this pattern, maybe I'm wrong. Like I'm not trying to say this with 100% certainty, but the pattern has a 10 row repeat to create this texture, this lace pattern. And she says to knit it 6.5 times, I think. It's been a little bit since I've looked at this, but it was a half. So knit it so many times, knit it another half time. So you would end after row 5. But then when she has you split for like to divide it to start the handles, because right now it's in the round, when you split it, the instructions are written out as if you have just done row 10. And so I think that a very easy solution would honestly just be ignoring that half and ending on...
And it's not like you start on row 5, so then the half is at the bottom, right? So that's the only way I think that would work out.
Yeah, I think you would just have to ignore that half instruction, finish on a row 10 repeat, and like pretend that part is not there. Because I ended on a row 5 listening to that half instruction, but really it's acting like I ended on a row 10, like putting us back at the beginning. So we would just repeat it, which would mess up the order of things. I don't know. I think there is an easy fix to it. I just didn't want to deal with it. I didn't want to deal with it. And what gave me a little bit of reassurance that maybe I'm right about this is that somebody on Instagram messaged me about I think it's the Bridget bag, which I knit years ago, I think in 2021. And she said that she was having a similar mistake on the separating of the bag. And unfortunately, I don't think I was super helpful for this person because we were on vacation and I didn't have the pattern in front of me and I just was like...
It's been years since you made that one.
And I think if they had messaged me not on vacation, I would have like sat down and really tried to figure it out. But I was like, oh, I don't know, maybe. But I think that they're right. And so hearing that the other bag pattern had a mistake, I was like...
Makes you wonder.
It makes me wonder. That being said, I really think it's an easy fix. And when I have time or the mental capacity to sit down, I'll either try to figure it out or maybe message the designer. I think that it's a beautiful design still, but
I'm so excited to see what it looks like when it's blocked too, because it looks like it'll lay really nicely.
I think it's going to be really pretty blocked. I just don't know. Yeah, part of me is like, I should finish this. I don't think that it would take me a lot longer to finish it, But yeah, I'm just finding a lot of inspiration in things that are not this right now. So we'll see where we end up with it. I'm not saying I won't go back, but if we don't see this again, that's why. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. That is one of my works in progress. I do have several.
Okay, I have two. So I'll talk about my next one real quick. And that is the book club cardigan by Sari Nordlund.
You started yours?
I did.
I'm gonna start. I have yarn for that.
Do you really?
Yes, you should have told me.
We could have did a little knit along together.
Okay, well maybe I can cast that on like today or something.
Wait, what yarn did you get?
I have Pearl Soho good wool that I'm gonna put with a silk mohair.
Oh, that'll be pretty.
I'm interested in seeing how the mohair affects the texture, but I think Sari Nordlund used a mohair.
I think the pattern does recommend it, which I did not follow. I'm using, oh, sorry, I've got my like double pointed needle in the skein. I'm using Woolstok worsted. Is that what it's called? Yeah.
That's funny because I have
Woolstok worsted
I have
by
this
Blue Sky
stash
Fibers.
too, but not. I guess.
I think I'm only going to need 3 skeins, but I bought 4 just in case.
I've got like 5 of these.
Oh, you definitely have enough.
Well,
this is the 150 gram skein.
Oh, I
not
have
the
to
50.
weigh mine.
Yeah, you'd have to look at the tags or weigh it.
That's so funny.
But
I
so
think I'm going to save that for a different project we'll talk about later, but
okay. Well, I think I'm only going to need 450 grams, but I think I have 600 just to be super safe. But yeah, I was influenced. I feel like everybody and their mother is knitting the book club cardigan right now. So I decided that I wanted to too. So I'm doing it in this really dark green color, which I don't know was like the smartest decision in the sense that I don't know that you're going to see the details super well, but I do think that in the fall, this is a color that I'll reach for. And in the daytime, you can see it pretty well. It's just sometimes at night, it gets a little too dark. But it does have really dramatic shoulder shaping. I just connected the yoke in the round to work the body, so it looks a little silly right now. And I did have the same issue that I ran into when I was knitting the Billy cardigan, in that Sari gives 2 different gauges for when you're knitting the cables versus when you're knitting in moss stitch. And just like the Billy cardigan, I ended up going with the needle size that gave me a gauge for the moss stitch, not the cables. So I feel like that might make the cables a little tighter than they're supposed to be, but I'm making the second size. So I'm hoping that mine kind of ends up somewhere actually in between the first and the second size. We'll see. It's a risk.
I love it.
I've also made a mistake somewhere and I cannot figure out where. So maybe you can help me figure it out, because it's kind of hard to explain, but when you're doing the cables, there's like these 3 cables. It's like the 2 side horseshoe cables and then the center diamond cable. I'll try to hold it up real quick so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. And the horseshoe cables are supposed to match up with certain rows of the diamond cables. And I was able to get that perfect. Like, I followed the pattern correctly for the back and the right front, but somewhere on this section, this left front section, I have made a mistake because my horseshoe cables are no longer lining up in pattern with the diamond cables. And so now when I'm working a right side row with them all together, it means I'm doing, the pattern is so that the horseshoe cables you only repeat every 4th row. So you do the cable and then you do 3 rows stockinette and then like do the cable. And now I'm doing the left front horseshoe cables on rows where the rest of the pattern is stockinette. And now whenever the rest of the pattern is cabled for those cables, I work the cable in stockinette. Like, I knit over those stitches.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't think that you'll ever find it.
I really can't. And see, what I thought happened is maybe I skipped 3, like the 3 rows of stockinette at some point, and maybe I was like, maybe I just did 1 row, or maybe I did too many and did like a section of 5 rows. Or in the diamond pattern, when you like go out, when you're like at the widest point of the cable, you do 3 rows of stockinette. So you have one right side row that you just knit over. And so I was like, maybe I skipped that, and that's where I got off. But I don't think I did.
I don't think you did, because when you count the little pearl
It
bumps,
looks correct,
it looks
right?
the same. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been like losing my mind looking for the mistake, because I know it's on me. Like, I know I did it and not the pattern. It's not a mistake in the pattern. It's something I did. I just can't find it. And I'm like, if I can't see it and I'm like really looking for it, it's not a big deal to go back and like undo. It's just kind of annoying now whenever I'm like doing a right side row that the left cape or the left front isn't matching what I'm doing with the back and the right front.
You've sealed your fate on that.
I've sealed my fate on it. It is what it
That's
is.
done.
At this point, we're committed. I'm not going to undo it.
Could you repeat? Well, I guess you don't know how you did it. I was gonna say, can you repeat the mistake on the next diamond to
If
get
I
it
could
back?
figure out how I did it.
Because if you figured that out, at least you could redo it, know that you wouldn't really see that difference, and then get back on track again.
Yeah.
Because do you know how many diamonds you're gonna have?
I could probably look at the pattern and count, but I don't know right now. Well, I guess I don't even know if I could look at the pattern and count, because I'd have to go on Ravelry and find someone who made the same size as me and maybe look at theirs and figure it out. I don't know.
It's not noticeable.
It's not noticeable. It's not that deep. It's just a mild annoyance at this point.
So everybody's knitting this right now. Are you joining like a knit along or anything?
No, because I feel like everyone's so far ahead at this point. I'm like, I don't want to be
well,
the last.
Gonna be really far ahead when I knit.
The straggler. I
Wait
would
to the
be
party.
curious- I would be curious though, because one thing that a lot of people have talked about with this pattern is that, gosh, I'm having a hard time showing it because it's kind of funky right now since I just joined for the round. But you can kind of see where the cable on the back doesn't really line up that well for the cables on the front. And so some people I've heard have like figured out how to hack that so that those transition a little smoother. And I'd be really curious to see how they did it.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, that like this one starts right here, whereas this one starts like a little off kilter towards like the center of the join. To be honest, it doesn't really bother me that much. I wasn't gonna sit there and try to figure it out myself, and I didn't really want to put much thought into it. So I'm just living with it, but I do know that that's bothered a lot of people, and I can understand why. So I'd be curious to see like what they did to fix it. And I've heard that in some of the knit along group chats that people have been sharing those tips and tricks.
I am also knitting a green Nordland project. Very different, but I went back to my Auer pullover. It's probably not going to be super easy to, well, maybe easy to see. We'll hold it up. So I am knitting this out of the same color as the hat, which is the Sandnes Garn Sunday in the color Into the Woods. But this time I'm holding it with the Isager Silk Mohair in the color 68. I think they call it olive or dark olive, something like that. And they're not exactly the same. You can kind of see my squished skeins, but they're pretty similar in color. I think they blend pretty well. I feel like
They marrow beautifully together.
yeah, there's like a really nice marl to this. Sometimes I like it when they're exactly the same, but I don't know, it gives a little bit of interest to it. I think it does look more green in real life than the camera shows it.
It definitely looks brighter than like the Oslo Hat that's just knit up together. Like you can definitely see a color difference when you look at those two held together. It's subtle, but
It's
you can
there.
tell this one's brighter for sure.
Yes, it really does brighten it up a little bit. I started this, I think back in March. It was like that time of the year where it was still cold. And so I started a sweater, but then, no, I'm positive. It was like late February into March. And then, I don't know, March you could start to feel where spring was just around the corner. And I just kind of lost inspiration because all the spring stuff was coming out and I just put it down. which I'm very glad about because when I picked it up, I was so inspired again to finish it, and I'm really liking working on it. It's stockinette, so I mean, it's going really fast. I'm hoping to finish it maybe this weekend. That might be a little too optimistic, but in the next few days, because I don't think I have a ton left to do. It is a bottom up construction, so you knit the body and then you knit the sleeves separately and then you attach in the round. And I picked the second size, even though I think the recommended was the first size based on my measurements, partially because my gauge was a tiny bit tight. I think I was like 1 stitch tighter. I think she recommends a 23 stitches per 4 inches and mine was 22, so I was like, oh, do I have that backwards? I think yours would have been 24. But it was a little small. I think maybe my gauge was 23 and I don't know. I know that I was 1 stitch tight, which I gauge swatched a long time ago, and then I was kind of nervous about going back to it, but it worked out, I think. But at any rate, my gauge was a little bit tight, and I would rather a garment be a little too oversized as opposed to too small. At the same time, it did have me a little bit nervous when I first joined them that this was going to be really big. But I think it's okay. I think it's going to be fine.
I think one of the things, because I've knit this pattern, it's been a long time.
You
so
knit the first size. I remember you telling me that.
Yeah.
And I knit the second.
And to be honest, I don't know if I would have gauge swatched because I knit it at a time when I don't remember. I feel like it was like around the time of that sweater that I started to gauge swatch, but I'm not 100% sure if I would have actually done that or not for that sweater. So who knows what my gauge was. But one thing that's interesting about this sweater that I think makes it look bigger towards the top than you would expect it to is that it's not like you like knit all of the stitches to the neckline exactly. You'll have some stitches on the shoulder that you'll close with, I can't remember if it's like 3 needle bind off or Kitchener stitch or something, but you'll have some stitches left over that sit on the shoulder.
Okay, I don't
which
think I
makes
realized
it look
that.
Wider than what you would traditionally see for like the end of the neckline.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, because it's not like, it's like a raglan in the sense that like you decrease like along here in order to get to the neckline, but there's still, it almost has like that tiny little drop shoulder look for like a few stitches on the shoulder.
Okay, that's interesting. I hadn't read that far.
Yeah.
But that's good to know that that's coming.
I don't know that I had like really processed that until I knit it. And I really liked that detail actually.
Yeah.
Like I thought it was cool.
No, I love the way it looks on everyone that I see on like Instagram and Ravelry. But yeah, it looks a little bit big. I think also that's just the nature of like a bottom up it is a little bit less like, you lose that ability to just easily try it on as you go and know exactly like this is the length I want, and I don't know, it's a little bit more of a gamble, but I trust Sari Nordland, so we are going with it. I think it'll be fine.
When I knit it, I just blindly followed the pattern.
That's what I'm doing.
You know, like I said, my gauge may or may not have been perfect, but I loved the way it turned out. So like, I think you're safe.
Okay, here's my other thought, and I don't know if you remember having this or not. I have knit sweaters like this in the past where you knit the body, sleeves, and then connect. And it is kind of awkward and fiddly, but I feel like this one was more awkward and fiddly to connect. And I think the reasoning is that for the underarm, it's only 2 stitches that you cast off on the body and cast off on the sleeve. And so there's not this wide panel here. I've knit sweaters that have similar construction that have much wider, like more stitches in there, like 8 or 10 stitches. And I think it was easier to connect all of the pieces together.
Yeah, because for the first few rows, now your sleeves are going to be like really bunched on the needles, and you're gonna have to like,
it was very awkward.
Yeah, and it's almost like you need to keep those on separate needles and like just have them join instead of trying to put them all in one big circular.
I did put them on a big circular, and it was very, I actually knit kind of like magic loop for a couple of rows, but actually I was probably like 10 to 15 rows in before it was like not awkward, and they're long rows, so it was really not enjoyable to connect them. And I I feel like it's always a little awkward, but yeah, having that very small, and it's that way for all sizes. It's not like my size specifically said to. It was like written so that all of them are like that. And I just thought that was kind of a awkward knitting experience. But if this is your first time knitting a pattern like this, don't give up on it, because there are ones that I think are easier. But now that I'm through, yeah, we're smooth sailing right now. We're just going around and decreasing and enjoying it.
That is kind of the nice thing about Tapa. The decreases feel like they're so much faster than the increases.
Yeah, every row gets a little bit faster. I'm like, ooh, we're starting to zoom now.
We're flying.
Yes. So that's my main focus. I've got a couple of other works in progress that I can kind of talk about together, honestly, but this is where my energy has been for the last little bit of time.
Yep.
So.
Well, I'll talk about my last WIP, which is also what I've been working on this whole time. So this is my Totally Rad Ribed Sock by Summerlee Design Co. I previously made this pattern, but I included 3 stripes, and this time around I decided to opt for 2 stripes. So I'm using Coast to Coast yarn in their classic sock base, and the main color is Thimblet, and then my contrast color is Roobios. So this is actually my second sock. I had to find the first one over here. I have knit up the first one. It's clearly not blocked, so it's looking a little lumpy, but I think she's gonna be really cute. So I'm excited about them. Really, I just needed a chill thing to work on while we were on vacation. So between the Rad Ribed Cami and these socks, I was pretty entertained, so that was good, and they knit up really fast. Clearly I'm still working on this one, but I do think I can finish this one in the next like day or two, which is good because I have another sock project coming up here soon, so I'm trying to clear these off my needles really quick so I can start working on that.
I love them.
Originally I intended to use the Roobios first. Like I wanted to knit a pair of solid Roobios socks. That way I would know how much I had left over, because I knew I wanted to use it for the contrast color of this Thimblet. But I tried a couple of different patterns with the Roobios, and I just wasn't loving any of them. And the one that I got the furthest on was the Maine Coast socks, also by Summerlee. So I'll put a picture of how far I got on that one. It's a really cabled sock pattern, and it looked beautiful with this like orange yarn. Like I was really loving the way it looked, but I didn't realize until I was like almost done with the gusset that because the cables it was like 2x2 cables across the entire row just about, with like a few purl stitches in between. Like each of those rows made the sock really, really tight. So even though I was using 72 stitches on size US 1, which is common, like that's what that's what I'm using for this sock right here. It was way too tight. There was no way I was ever gonna get this sock over my foot, and I was so mad at myself for not realizing that until I was already like over halfway done with one of the socks. So I frogged that, and I was like, well, maybe I can just go up a needle size. So I started that same pattern again, and I went up to a US 2 with 72 stitches, which normally would be like way too big for me, but even that was too small. And I just lost motivation. I didn't want to keep like going up and like having to redo this pattern. So I was like, I'm gonna walk away from the Roobios for a little bit. I'm gonna get out my Thimblet, do something that I'm a little more excited about, have a little more confidence that it's gonna turn out. So I have been using the Roobios as my contrast color. But usually when I knit socks, I have like 30 grams left over. So I really think even though I'm using it for contrast, I think I'm still going to be able to get like a full pair of socks out of it. Like I'm not too worried about it. It just was not what I was originally planning to do in my head. So also Coast to Coast is announcing a new collection this month, and I think the pre-order opens on the 23rd. So obviously we have no idea at this point that we're filming like what the colors are or what we're gonna want or anything, but I'm a little upset with myself that I still have 3 skeins from January's pre-order that I still need to go through before she opens this new one. So I'm like, I don't want to just like keep hoarding sock yarn, and in my acquisitions I bought sock yarn. But I think I'm going to end up with a lot more sock yarn.
To be Fair though. We do knit a lot of socks.
Yeah.
And
I do go through it eventually. Like,
yeah.
That's the thing that I don't like, when something sits in my stash forever and I don't know what I'm going to do with it and it just like lingers forever. But I do go through waves where I just want to make a lot of socks. And so it is nice to have options available.
And it's much easier to buy one skein of sock yarn knowing like I will find something for this. So I am actually in a place we're gonna I was gonna say this for the end. We're thinking we might do like a little fall planning video, and I'm in a place right now where I'm feeling like I have too much yarn in my stash, but I don't feel bad about my sock yarn.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
I also have socks to talk about.
Yeah,
that's my other thing. But one of them I'm thinking will not stay.
Oh, you started on this.
Yeah, I thought I'd start with this one because one's actually done. The other one is not. But I knit the Season Socks by Summerly Design Co. I'll put this up close so you can see the stitch pattern. It's not blocked. You can kind of see a little ladder where I knit it on DPNs, but I feel like it's a little bit more subtle after you block it. It calls for a 2x1 ribbing, and hers is longer than mine is. I did mine, I think 15 rows. I don't remember the measurements for the other, but I shortened the cuff a little bit. And then it's got this really just beautiful, kind of almost waffly texture that's really fun to knit on. One thing that I gained experience from with the citrine socks was that the slip stitches in the pattern condense the foot considerably compared to the stockinette part that's on the foot.
Like the length of the foot?
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you're to just knit it completely like plain, you might find that I don't know how to do this, your like top of the sock is scrunching more than the bottom, and it kind of like bows.
That's what happened to me when I knit that sock, and I actually like completely undid it because I was so upset with it.
Yeah, I remember you saying that. Well, I remember you saying it's not really noticeable when you wear it, but it's very noticeable like in this capacity.
Yeah.
So someone had pointed out to me on the citrine socks that the pattern recommends going to a smaller needle, and I think that's a genius idea. But I knit this on the plain, and I didn't bring multiple needle sizes. I just brought my normal US size 2 that I do for socks. And so that wasn't an option for me. But I did short rows throughout the entirety of this sock on the foot part. You don't have to do it for this part because it's all the same. And I did short rows almost every pattern repeat, honestly.
Like every 6 rows or every 4 rows?
Almost, yeah. There were a few times, because I would just eyeball it and look to see if they felt even, and I was able to skip it a couple times, but I did many, many more short rows than plain.
Gotcha.
If that makes sense at all. But honestly, I don't think you can tell. Like, I think that the fabric still looks really even.
Especially after blocking, I really don't think you're going to see that.
I was worried that like there would be these weird bumps or something here, but this is before blocking. Like, that's pretty good, I think. So I am really happy with that choice, and I love this stitch pattern. It's so cute. So I'm going to start another one here soon. I am using Coast to Coast Sea Glass, I think. I threw the label away because I thought I was going to use this yarn long time ago and then frogged that. And I bought this in a like inventory sale. It wasn't part of like a pre-order or anything, so I can't tell you if this was part of a specific collection. But that's how I got it, and I think it's a really cute color. It's not one that I think I would normally gravitate towards, but for a sock,
it reminds me of like a key lime or something.
Yes, it's a very key lime pie.
Or like minty, I don't know.
And honestly, I think it is really pretty with a lot of neutrals. Like even like these, it's just kind of cute. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it actually looks very pretty with her Unexpected Friendship yarn. And so for a while I sat on this thinking I needed to combine the two. But I just like my solid color socks. So
I bet you'd have enough left over if you wanted to like use it as like, yeah.
Now the other thing is though is that I knit a full pair of socks, so I kind of only have accents of both. But if I could use them as like
stripes or something,
yes,
maybe
that would be really cute. And then I started another pair of socks. Oh, actually, I should have reversed the order. Here's what happened. I started these on the plane, or like the airport, you know, travel day situation. And then I got to where I was about to start the toe, and I don't use a specific measurement. I just try it on and decide when to start the toe.
That's why I do it.
Yes, yeah. But I thought it might be weird to take my shoes off on the plane and try my sock on. I didn't know if my neighbors would appreciate that.
Probably not.
They were strangers. I was not sitting by people I knew. And so I stopped this, put it on scrap yarn, started this sock, ended up finishing this at home, and now this is just chilling. I put it back on the needles, but I put it back on the needles thinking I would go back, finish this, and then like have 2 pairs of half socks. I don't know. But I'm kind of thinking I might frog them. This is the In Bloom socks. I can't remember which one. The In Bloom socks by Summer Lee is a collection of 3 patterns, and this is the first one in that collection. It's got this, I don't know if you can see it very well. It definitely needs to be blocked, but it's got this really pretty lace at the top and then some bobbles, and then the rest is just stockinette. It was a joy to knit up. It knit up so fast. The lace pattern is very easy. I don't love bobbles, but it wasn't painful. And so I really didn't think anything of it while I was knitting it. I was just enjoying it on the plane and having something to work on while we were traveling. But now that I'm back home and really thinking about it, I just don't think I will wear them that much. And I really don't know if I love the bobble detail, but I don't see myself loving the design without the bobble detail either. And I like this color enough that I want to love what I make.
I know. Sometimes I feel like, especially with sock yarn and hand-dyed sock yarn, I'm like, oh, it's so pretty. You have to find a pattern that does the yarn justice.
Like, it has to be perfect.
Yeah.
And I just don't know. So I think that she might get frogged. This is is this Galette?
Yes.
Galette by the Coast to Coast Fantasy Coffee collection. And this would be my 4th in that collection, 4th pair of socks that I made if I finish this, but to be decided. That's my last work in progress.
Well, that flows well into all of my acquisitions because I have more sock yarn. And I know I just mentioned I still have some sock yarn from the Coast to Coast collection that she had in January, the Fantasy Coffee House. But I do have like specific patterns in mind that I've kind of earmarked that I want to use for those eventually when I get around to making them. So, anyway, Laura from Sunday Morning Knits reached out and asked if I wanted to be part of a sock test knit. And she's just been so sweet to us and really kind. And the pattern that she sent was absolutely beautiful. So,
and she has a podcast too that is very fun to watch. She's been knitting this like Greek mythology themed blanket. That's so cool. Anyways, an aside.
Yes. Yeah. Anyways, point is, I had no reservation about signing up for the test knit. All of the yarn that I had at home, I kind of realized that I already had patterns in mind for and didn't necessarily want to like give one of those up. So I went online and decided to order some sock yarn. And so I went to Wool & Company's website actually because they've become kind of my go-to when I like need some yarn really quick, but I don't necessarily have time to like go shop in person, which is what I would ideally like to do because they ship so fast. So I knew I was like, okay, if I find a few things on their website that I really like, it'll get here in plenty of time that I'll still be able to like do the test knit with no reservation, because she gives a full month for you to just knit one sock, which is really nice. Like that's a good test length
very
time.
generous.
Yeah. So anyways, point is, the first one that I picked out for this particular sock, and I'm not going to show a picture of the sock because it is a secret test knit until the pattern is actually released.
It's part of some sort of collaboration with another, or maybe not another, with like an indie dyer.
Yeah.
So I think when the indie dyer announces her collection, that might be released.
Yeah. I think it's sometime in September, so we'll keep you updated. But the first one that I got was Farmer Daughter Fibers Bear Paw Sock. And this
Hide from the camera.
brown colorway. In fact, let me check what the colorway is called. Mad Mardigan. And I know I already have some brown sock yarn at home, but I'm a sucker for brown socks. Like, I just think they're so cute and so cozy. And this like felt fall to me, which I'm here for fall. But I couldn't make a decision between that and then...
We're really feeling green, aren't we?
I know, we really are. I couldn't make a decision between this one and then this La Bien Ami sock yarn. And this one's the color Jonah. And so it's just this like really dark forest green color. I think now that I have both of them, I think I'm leaning towards using this one for the test knit.
One.
But sock yarn's the type of thing, I'll always find something else for this one. So I do think it's really pretty. So I'm excited to start on those. And then while I was ordering sock yarn, I did get some just basic pure white sock yarn. And that's because as we're getting closer to fall, it means they're also getting closer to football season.
We're excited.
And we're excited. And so last year during the Super Bowl, Sorella released a In My Chiefs Era pre-order, which was like a red and yellow color. And I kind of want to separate, what I'm kind of envisioning for those socks is that I want to do like a red cuff and then like 2 stripes of white yarn and then like a yellow stripe that's a little bit thicker and then like a tiny little stripe of white and then do the rest of the sock solid red. I think that would be really cute. And so I needed a solid white yarn that would work for that. And so unfortunately I did order a whole skein of yarn, but I think what I can do is I can knit like a whole pair of socks with this and then use the leftovers because it'll take so little yardage to just do a couple of stripes on each sock. So now I'm waiting until Chiefs season or like football season officially starts in September to cast those on, because I kind of want to cast those on during the first game if I can. So I've got a month, but I was like, well, if I'm already ordering sock yarn, I kind of had it on my radar that I would want just a pure white sock. So I went ahead and ordered it at the same time. So I'd have this in my stash and it's like ready to go.
Okay, I'm gonna cast mine on at the same time, and I have a different version. I think our ideas are similar, but like not the same.
Really, what are you thinking?
So I know that the Sorella sock base was like a red with like a little yellow accent color, but I actually want to make my base sock white, like kind of those just very classic like crew socks, and just use the socks for accent colors, and then maybe I can even like make multiple. I'm sure my husband might want a pair of 2 socks. So I don't know, it'll just be fun to see how they like are the same but different.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll cast on at the same time. So we'll see. I have a acquisition that is sock related as well. I picked this up at one of the stores that we went on vacation, or like that we visited while we were on vacation. And so I got this at Close Knit, which is the Fuzzy Peach Fibers. It's from the Golden Hour collection, and I think that this color is called Golden Hour.
It doesn't have like another name listed, so I assume that's probably it.
I think that I am telling the truth on that. It's kind of a greenish gold, almost into chartreuse color. And I just really liked it. But I also liked that she is from Oregon and that I was able to get it at a local Oregon yard shop. So I just thought that this is a perfect souvenir. This is currently my only acquisition for right now. And we've talked about my sock yarn, so do you want to jump into sewing? Yes. What all did I make? So A lot of what I made recently are things that you, I think, have previously made.
Okay, I'm kind of in the same boat too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so just running down the list then, I made the pants that you're currently wearing right now, which are the Pomona pants by Anna Allen in a black linen. I don't know if it's the exact same linen that you used. I used Go-To linen by Blackbird Fabrics.
Okay, and this one's also from Blackbird, but this one's like a cotton linen blend.
Oh, okay.
So I think it's a little bit different.
I wonder how that compares.
I don't know, I'll have to feel them.
Yeah, I like the linen. I have a ton of that because I had a different pattern in mind that needed like a lot of yardage, and now I'm just kind of, and then I abandoned that idea. So now I have got a lot of black linen, but not a bad problem to have. So I used a little bit up for the Pomona pants. And I
also made a pair of Pomona pants. Again, like I know I'm wearing a
I
pair.
know, they're just a good pattern.
I liked your beige pair so much that I decided that I needed a beige pair.
Good.
So I used the birch color linen from the like cloud linen by Matchy Matchy Sewing Club to make mine. But so when I made this black pair, I thought they were a little bit short. So I was like, I'm going to make these extra long. And I think I added 5 inches to the pattern.
Oh.
Which is maybe a touch too much because now my hem is pretty long. I think I made like 1.5 inch or 2 inch folded hem in order to get it back to a decent length. So it worked out. It wasn't a big deal or anything. But I think I need to be somewhere in the middle between 2 and 5. Like
I
probably like
3, and it was...
That's probably perfect, actually.
In my opinion, it was a good amount of length to add.
Yeah, and we're like 5'4", 5'5"-ish for context.
Yeah. And we also both put pockets on both sides. The pant pattern, I think she only calls for 1 pocket, but we do pockets like left and right.
Yeah.
So only modifications. It's a really easy sewing pattern. It's really enjoyable to work up. So that was one. I also made a Zamora skirt again, and this time I made it in black.
So we both have 2. We both have a white pair, and then I have a blue one, and then you have a black one.
Yes. I love that pattern so much. Like, I just feel like it's a very easy skirt to throw on with everything, and it's an easy pattern to work up. I got the fabric from Stone Mountain and Daughters Fabric. I think I'm saying that right. And I felt so bad. They were very, very nice to me. Basically, when I ordered it, like in June, wanting to keep it or like to make it on this trip, which we left on July 16th, I think.
Yep.
And so I was like, oh, that'll be plenty of time because I can make this skirt in like an afternoon easily. And so I ordered it late in June, and then a day or 2 later, they were like, here's your tracking order. I was like, wonderful, they're so fast. And then the tracking order kept saying that USPS was awaiting the package. Like, it looked like they had created a label, but that they had not actually given it to the post office. And so after like a week of that or something, I messaged them to just say like, hey, is it possible for me to pay for expedited because I'm starting to get a little nervous? I was like, you can charge the same card. Like, I just want this fabric in time. And they said, oh, we did give this to USPS. We contacted them and they lost it. What? And so they so kindly reshipped the same order to me. And literally the day after they shipped me a new package, the package arrived with no tracking at all, just USPS.
After it arrived, did you check to see if the tracking was updated, or
it went from like a waiting package to delivered. Like, there was no updating. And so then I was like, it arrived. I'm so sorry. And they were very, very nice and gave me a return label so that they were like, can we have this other stuff back? I was like, yes, I don't need 2 of these. And so I shipped it back. They were really nice. They gave me like a 15% off after all of it for like the trouble. And I was like, no, because that's it's not your fault that USPS messed it up. And so I was like, I don't think that they needed to do that, but their customer service, so nice. And I was very grateful because I love that skirt. I wore it a lot on the trip. I'm still wearing it. and will continue to. So 10 out of 10. Not really a lot about the sewing experience, but it was really nice to have.
Well, the next one too is another one that you've made. So I know you've talked about it before, so I won't go into detail, but I did make another pair of bisque trousers in a cotton canvas fabric from Blackbird in the exact same color that you've made before.
Yeah, we're just copying each other at this point.
Truly. I just really liked your pair so much. And I'd made this pattern for myself before and knew that I really liked it, but the color that I had previously chose was that like really...
Oh, that's your Carhartt.
Yes. It's like a bronzy gold fabric, which is so pretty. But in the canvas material, it looks like a Carhartt, you know, which is good.
Like utility pants that you would wear like on a job site or something.
Exactly, yes. So it's like, you know, a good brand and everything. It just like wasn't the vibe that I was going for. And they're not pants that I reach for every day because I feel like I have to be really careful with how I style them in order to have it not look like I'm going to a job site.
Or you could embrace it and it could be a look.
Yeah, you know. I still keep them in my closet, so we'll see what ends up happening with them. But point is, I wanted a different pair, so I made the same color that you made.
It was a good choice.
Yeah, so I really like them. I did take them on vacation, and I did wear them, and I thought they were really cute with... I styled them with like one of my raglan sweaters. I think it's the Fortune sweater that I've made using a PetiteKnit pattern in the Touch Me Mohair from We Are Knitters. So wore that around for the day. It was very comfortable, felt cute. It was a good pair of pants. Yeah. And that's by Vivian Shochen. So there will be a link in the description to the pattern if you're interested, along with like everything else that we've talked about.
Yeah, that's a beautiful pattern.
Yeah.
I copied you because I sewed a white Eleonora dress. I sewed it in a poplin viscose from Blackbird Fabrics. I always want to say Blackbird Fibers. But I'm not crazy about mine. I am kind of considering it to be like a toil in my mind. It wasn't expensive because I think that fabric is only like $10 per yard anyway. I say only, that makes it like $50, which is not cheap, but in the grand scheme of Blackbird Fabrics prices, I don't think that that's bad. And then they were also running a discount. I don't remember how much, 20 or 25% off at some point. And so I really got a good deal on it. I'm not mad about the investment that I made, but the fabric said it was viscose poplin. And to me, poplin holds a little bit of shape to it. And this did not. It's very drapey.
It didn't have that like crispness.
It does. I mean, it had crispness in the way that it ironed really beautifully and it was easy to work with, but it almost gives nightgown. I don't know.
Yeah.
I like yours better. You made it in like a cotton gauze.
Yeah.
I see myself redoing it because I do love that design. And I mean, I learned a lot about it. I had made the sleeveless version before, but the sleeved version and sleeveless version do have slightly different constructions. And so it is nice that I was able to like figure the pattern out without cutting into really good fabric or something. But I do kind of want to redo it with like good fabric. And I didn't even wear it on the trip. So I was like, I want to finish this before vacation. And then I didn't like it that much.
Yeah.
So all a learning experience.
Yeah.
And that's all I made this in the past month.
I have one more to talk about sewing wise, and that is that I did my first ever test sew, which was really fun. So I sewed the Willa shorts from Spaghetti Western Sewing. And I just think her name and her branding is so fun.
Yeah, I love her style.
Yeah. So they're like a pair of shorts that have some curved hems, and then they have ruffles all along the curved hems. So they were super fun to make. I ended up making 2 pairs because I made my first pair in black, actually left over from these pants, which are the like cotton linen blend.
I'm gonna copy you on that because I have leftovers from my black pair of Pomona pants.
Okay, but it's just linen, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Will it not work?
No, that'll be perfect because I was gonna say I think the cotton linen blend. I remember like how much this one weighs, but I think it's ever so slightly a little bit thicker than what like a lot of the just plain linen fabrics that I've worked with are. And so I don't feel like it draped the same way that I wanted it to. And part of it I think was on me. I don't know if I did the best job getting the gathers like it's evenly distributed along the hem as I probably should have. So I kind of considered that my like first go around, just like a little toil to like test the pattern and provide her with feedback on like the sizing and the instructions and things like that. So I think it was really good that I was able to use that fabric for that, and also provide feedback on like which types of fabrics work and which ones don't. But after making that pair, I kind of thought that it would be cuter in like a print rather than just a solid. It is really cute in a solid, but like my heart just wanted a pattern and I wanted a gingham with it. And also I think the gingham fabric that I happened to have had a lighter weight, and I think that draped a little bit better, and I think it made it easier for me to get the gathers more evenly distributed. I didn't have to work as hard to like space those out and get them to like look even the way that I wanted them to. So I do like my second pair a lot more when I redid them with the gingham. The only caveat was that the gingham fabric that I used, I didn't have enough left over to make pockets, and so it doesn't have pockets, which is a bummer because like it's always better when
pockets.
Yeah, it's always better when things do have pockets. But the designer on Instagram did like comment on my post when I posted a picture of it and let me know that she hadn't tested it without pockets. So it was almost kind of good that now she has confirmation that it is possible that you can still follow the pattern and exclude those if someone either doesn't want pockets, which why would you not want pockets? Or, you know, if you're like in my situation where you're trying to use up some leftover fabric and don't have enough to do that.
Could you have just used a different fabric for
I probably could have. Yeah. I didn't want to, but I probably could have.
Just a thought for next time.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely probably could have.
No, I definitely want to make those. I honestly feel like they are so cute out and about, but I also think I've got some fabrics that I could kind of just like mix and match, and if nothing else, use as pajama shorts.
Yeah, I definitely think you could.
So yeah, I'm excited for that pattern. I was very glad to see it got released.
Yeah. So that's the last thing that I have sewed though, and I think that's the last thing I have to talk about in general.
Yes. Now, I don't know when it will be, but we are planning on doing a little fall planning. We did a planning at the beginning of the year that we have not totally abandoned, but not been like super loyal to either. So we're planning on maybe kind of reevaluating for the fall season, and then hopefully we'll be back to normal. We did not mean to take a month off, but we just really enjoyed this time and enjoy getting to sit down and talk about all this stuff. And if you've knit anything or have any words of wisdom, would like to share what you're working on, we love hearing that. And thank you for joining us today.